Man, I tell you, they're all down here. I just watched a man walk out of his old but expensive and still in good condition RV next to his old but still in beautiful condition vintage luxury car, wearing a ridiculously expensive vintage suit, carrying an equally expensive vintage bag. Normally, the man is dressed like the rest of us in something you don't mind wearing out. It feels nice. But today he was dressed up to the nines to go do business. By bus. What's the point? We're all walks of life down here. We got the ones that managed somehow to get a vehicle to get themselves off the streets. And we got the ones that liquidated everything and all they had left was a vehicle to get themselves off the streets. We got people who were high on the hill. You don't get an expensive linen suit just to show off. You get it because it's perfectly comfortable clothing and you can afford it. And it fits within your wardrobe and it fits your lifestyle. That's why you get a vintage linen suit. And it wasn't vintage when it was new. It was bespoke fit. And it wears like a bespoke fit suit. And to see that coming off of somebody who is homeless is quite intriguing. I'd say we have a man who was very wealthy, doing what wealthy people do, which is every loophole they find. They're juggling. They're jugglers. They're acrobats. They're jugglers, really. They're juggling. And they're gambling. They're gambling that the balls won't fall. And when one ball falls, hey, that guy that had his nose in the air last week has his feet in the air this week. And he's down here on the road with me. He lost his ass to one stupid mistake. I lost my ass to cancer and lifelong disability. There's a lot of people who have lost their asses to lifelong disability here. They're here because they just couldn't quite thrive. But that's not all who's here. There's some people in some very expensive machines here. They were thriving until the day they weren't. I'm just looking out at the street where all the RVs are parked, thinking about it. We've got creatives. We've got people who are dysfunctional. We've got people who are very functional. I think the point that I'm trying to bring home is they're coming from every walk of life. Everybody is at risk of winding up parked on the street. No, it's not hell. But it's not secure. It's not legal. It's not safe. And it's not thriving. And our needs are not being fully met. So while it isn't hell, it is also not an acceptable solution for warehousing. You're retired, you're disabled. All right? Your elderly and disabled do not belong in little wheeled boxes on the street. This isn't working. Neither do your kids. Anybody who has even the slightest dysfunction these days is just falling through cracks and winding up, not being well enough, not having their needs met. And this is the function of government. You know, when I first took my sociology classes, one of the things they explained to me was like, well, back in the feudal system, the reason that the peasants didn't get together and take out the lord or the king was because that person was also responsible for making sure that all that grain they took from the peasants got doled back out in hard times. That when enemies came knocking, all of that power and machinery and might that the guy had built up together in his little castle would be brought out to protect his peasants from the invading army. That the Lord's job, the government's job, was that when the chips were down, they stood up for the people. That, yeah, they're taxing me now, but tomorrow they're going to feed me. That was what I was taught. And then throughout that education, paid for by my government, I was told that my government was there to serve my needs primarily that because they were a democratic government, that what me and my fellow citizens needed most was the most important priority, that was what the government was there for, and that was why they were taking my taxes. And now we all know the truth is that they are serving the corporate interest. They are serving this thing called the economy, which serves the wealthy only, that they are an oligarchy now, that our vote is a theatrical play meant to just keep us all busy talking. We understand now that we're not being heard and we're not being served. We've reached a point where we don't know what to do. And I agree. It is time to do something. Because we're not only not being served, but we're being toxically harmed. And we understand that too. We understand it in the burning rivers. We understand it in not being able to go swimming anymore. We understand it in not being able to even trust our rainwater to drink. Like, rainwater pure isn't anymore? What? And maybe that's truth, and maybe that's a lie, and that's another one of the things we understand about how everything's gone sideways. Things are not the way that we instinctively understand they should be. And the anger is building, and we're seeing it in road rage. We're seeing it in honked horns and spinning wheels and revving engines. We're seeing it, people yelling at each other more and more often. I honestly have never seen more people yelling at each other than in the last 10, 20 years. Never before was it so normal for people to just swear and verbally abuse each other on the street. And I do it too. And it's not normal for me either. But sometimes it just feels like the only solution to somebody that just won't stop trying to feed me their anger is to just throw it right back at them. And I hate it. I don't care that it feels good when I do it. Intellectually, I hate that it's happening. I hate that it's happening in me, and I hate that it's happening in us. We are not okay. Do I have some ideas of how to deal with it? I know what we need. We need to fight our way past all the divisiveness. We need third places. Right now, the dog park's the only place left where strangers can meet and talk over something without it being considered scary in some fashion. The guy was talking to me at the bus stop. What's wrong with him? Did he want to sleep with me or something? Like, no. He was at the bus stop. You had 10 minutes to wait for a bus. You could have passed the time talking about something interesting. But instead, you chose to interpret that interrogatory moment negatively, and the guy clammed up and now you didn't have that conversation. That was one of your third places that you missed. Right now, the only third place left to us is the dog park, where we talk about dogs, which means only dog-friendly people are included in that conversation. And that is still a form of division. At what point do people who have nothing in common get an opportunity to talk? And then when we do, why can't we disagree? Why can't you walk away understanding that that's the way I think? And I walk away understanding that that's the way you think. And sit there with our differentness going, I never thought about it that way. Like tonight, instead of in your face, where you have to convince me that you've got a good point. And furthermore, that my point's worth dropping. Because the last time I tried to have a conversation with someone, the last 3 conversations I've tried to have, all devolved into this "you're arguing with me" nonsense. Because I simply didn't roll with their opinion as if they knew it all and I was just there to be an audience. What? I don't do that to people. You don't have to agree with me. You do not have to think I'm right. And we do not have to keep talking about it, and I do not have to come back the next day and bring it up because you still don't think I'm right. I'm cool with that. It's all right, man. I don't know everything. I don't know what I don't know. I could be wrong. Right now, I think I'm right. And that's okay. I could be wrong, and I know that. Where did we lose that? Why can't you be wrong and right at the same time? Why can't you allow someone else the same respect and privilege, the same space. And then, why is it you're afraid of me? What am I theoretically going to do? People don't even bother anymore looking at their fears to figure out what they're afraid of. It's like, I'm afraid of that guy. Well, what? Afraid of what? I don't know. Well, then why are you afraid if you don't know what you're fearing? I just am. Like, what is going on out there, folks? Why are you afraid? Stop and think your way through things. Don't just roll with whatever random emotion flaps you upside the head today and think that it's valid because it happened. You need to stop and ask why you feel that way. Why did that thing make you angry? Why did that person scare you? Why? Because a lot of that stuff is so ridiculously invalid. You're blaming instincts, some magic artsy fartsy. Listen, I'm a wizard. I know what instincts are. And you're not following instincts. You're following emotions. You're following random emotions because you've never given yourself the time to develop the skill to look at the emotion, look at the cause. That's where, oh no, but I get scared every time I look at the cause. No, that's what courage is for. You think courage is an absence of fear? No, sir. It's a mastery of fear. You are so scared that your feet are sweating puddles, but you're standing in your shoes and you're not running. That's what courage is. And until you can look at the thing that scares you and ask it its name, you don't know who you are. And we can't fix this problem because number one problem we're facing is that lack of courage. Because all of the things you could possibly do to solve all of the things that are giving you trouble, the first step is to have the courage to do them because you don't know if it's going to work. And you got to do it anyway. And until you have the basic courage to understand why you feel that way about that person or that thing, you don't have enough courage to deserve to get out of the hellhole we're all suffering in. None of us do. And in fact, you're holding all of us back, even those of us who do have some courage. I don't have enough courage, I suppose. Maybe. I don't know. What is it we need to do? Well, number one, we should try a general strike. Well, I don't have a job, so that takes care of that, doesn't it? Putting my money where my mouth is kind of hard when I got no money. So I think, number one, you got to start having the courage to talk to people who aren't like you. Start there. Talk to a stranger. This advice is for people over 18, okay? If you're under 18, well, you're not supposed to be watching these videos on YouTube. But if you're under 18, I highly recommend that you stick to the kids your age because you're still learning. Do lots of reading. Listen to your elders that you trust. Listen to your trusted elders when they talk about their life and be around them when they're talking to strangers. If your elder is talking to a stranger, you're listening to the conversation and you're even allowed to participate because you're not alone. So, talk to strangers. But please, those under 18, 21, those under the age of understanding how duplicity works, they should do so with a safe elder. But yeah, we need to start talking to each other. Don't be so scared. I don't bite. Generally, I bite back. I clap back. You know, you're going to come at me, I'm going to come right back. That's all it is. That's what temper is. You respect people. Listen, there's this guy down the block from me who doesn't talk to anybody, but he talks to me. And his temper is like a match sitting in the sun on a hot August day. And all you really do is got to give it the shade of respect. Just block the heat a little. Little respect, man. And it doesn't go off. And so we talk, and I like him. All he needed was respect. Seems like he might actually even have an interesting mind up in there when he gets around past all of the damage done by the disrespect that he's been receiving from far too many people for not being status quo. you know? And the reason I can get around that is because, yeah, me too, buddy. I get treated like that too. Why am I not the same level of anger? I've done a lot of reading, I guess. Or maybe I haven't received the same bullying. I don't know. We'll never know what makes me me. I have got enough anger that people notice it, that's for sure. But then at the same time, I think, well, when I'm really happy, you tell me I'm crazy for being too happy. When I'm angry, you tell me I'm crazy for being too angry. When I'm sad, you tell me I'm overreacting for being too sad. As far as I can see it, what you want is a monotone with an overlay. Or, I really don't understand. What's the problem? Expressing my feelings is how I keep them in control. You see, if I didn't express myself, that would be bottling it up. I've heard that phrase from you neurotypical folks constantly. Don't bottle it up. Exactly. Express yourself. Put some emotion and some expression into your voice, your face, your movements, and then you won't get to the point where you suddenly go, boom, I'm violent. Been working for me for 40 years, I'm telling you. I went from going to wind up in prison on a murder charge to completely safe around anybody. Just because I learned how to express myself on the regular so as not to bottle it up. So stop being so scared of everybody. Yeah, I know. There was that guy that got his head cut off on the bus. And then there was that guy. Yeah, I know. And that stuff's been around forever. Listen, the world's got a million ways to take you out when it's your time to go. And sometimes they're demonstrably horrifying. But you're more likely to die in a car accident than from talking to strangers. You know what I'm saying? You still get in the car every day. You got over that. You figured out how to protect yourself and feel safe enough for that. Go talk to each other.